Welcome back to Eye on Politics here on Good Morning Kenya, and the debate is raging on. Before we went on air, Wakili, you were saying something and I cut you short. I want you to continue on that point before I come to Dr.
Well, we were observing that it is good for members of parliament to traverse the country so that at least they are informed.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we are also saying that you go there, like the head of state said, to be informed so you can be able to legislate. Not so that you go and do politics in another constituency. I think that's the whole point. And both sentiments are echoed by the head of state and the deputy. I don't see contradictions, except when you have to read too much into the politics of it. Now then, my brother was alluding to the fact that now the deputy president, brought in a lot of votes. And I think in 2022, if the head of state decided to pick Migwi, for example, still UDA could have gotten a huge number of votes from Central Kenya. The reason was the mood set by the rejection of Uhuru Kenyatta within Mount Kenya was so large that, I mean, people just wanted to vote. If you go back to YouTube and listen to the music the ladies were singing, the UDA ladies were singing, I mean, the mood had been set, and it did not depend, quite honestly, on the deputy president, who was a one-time member of parliament at that time. And that is why now you see people are saying that the way he has handled himself as a deputy, he was a bit too fast, a bit too forward, a bit too careless in speech. Now things are backfiring, and he finds the anticlimax he is not able to handle. So I think depends on how you look at it and in whose side you stand. But the entire Central Kenya vote did not depend on the deputy president. No.
Dr. Rich, you wanted to say something?
I think Mike, there is something that I feel it should be clarified more. As to the speech of His Excellency, the deputy president, when he was in the notary, and the issue of asking MPs not to traverse to other people, I mean the other constituencies. I think it was actually taken out of context, because the scenario under which His Excellency the Deputy President was talking was about MP Wakapseret, that is Oscar Sudi, whom he has not been in good terms with the MP cases. And the MP, in fact, the Deputy President came into the defense of the area MP case, of cases, by saying Sudi, Sudi campaigned for this gentleman, MP Wakesses. And then, even after he has won, the Sudi went on to interfere with the internal affairs of Keses. Demeaning the member of parliament of Keses. So actually, he was coming in defense of the member of Keses, that you MPs, this habit of traversing into the affairs of the other constituencies. In fact, he should have been able to use the term interfering with other constituencies. He never said actually that you should not go to any other constituency for a good purpose. I think it was misquoted, it was taken out of context, and if you understand the real background under which His Excellency the Deputy President actually spoke, it was referring to a matter between Sudi and the Honorable MP cases. And then the issue that my brother here has raised about the Mount Kenya people were won. Won over what? Won over what? In fact, as we are talking, Mike, the people of Central Province enjoys, a majority of those who are in the government, about 9 years, and several others that I cannot mention. Now, what exactly do you want as Mount Kenya? Unless you need the seat of the president, that is something that you should ask direct. Otherwise, the election was done, and His Excellency the president was elected, and more so by the people of Mount Kenya, that we appreciate. But that is their government. It is the government of the Republic of Kenya. You don't have, just because you are a firstborn, you have to claim more of what we have in this country. No. Kenya is meant for Kenyans. Every single citizen in this country counts when it comes to the discipline of resources. So I don't have a better, that just because I have a majority vote that I voted to as the president, I should be given an upper hand in everything that I do. And even what I propose, if there is a possibility that every tribe in this country should be given a ministerial position, if it is possible, if he cannot get the substantive one, he can get the deputy. Because The issue that now having CS and still 9 CSs and still they are claiming that they have not, they don't have anything. They have the central bank governor. They don't. Yeah, what do you want?
No, they don't go back there.
Yes.
You know, the problem is that sometimes you do not know the intrigues, the political intrigues and intonation of certain pronouncements. I can say for sure that it is not possible that the deputy president can go and sort out the difference between Sudi and Keses MP. It is not possible. He has no capacity and authority because he never contributed for it. So,
but what about the fact that he is a national leader?
That is just what I'm trying to tell you. If he were a national leader, he would not run back to his base to try and consolidate his base. What I'm saying is that Sudi and Keses, Rigiji had no control in their being elected. And even when there are feuds between them, he will not pretend that he's going to sort out. He was trying to sort out his own problem in other areas. Because he is on record as saying that he has a problem with Wakinadidi Nyoro, who are friends with their counterparts in the Rift Valley. So his main aim was to go and tell people, that those who are there, that they should not transverse other constituency in the name of just working, but in the name that they're spoiling his image and competing with him. He's saying that there are young guys there who are talking recklessly and taking him head on as the leader, but he wants everybody to work under him, which is not possible. I want to concur with my friend that, you know, in this country, people must reflect our diversity in terms of tribe should be our strength. We have not used our diversity as our strength. Because if you are in a government and you have 9 CSs and many other PSs, and when you look at our parliament, it is being controlled. You know, the leader of majority is Ichungwa from Central, the chair of the budget, the finance chair, committees. So we should not say that some parts of this country are being given raw deal, like the Mount Kenya. They are not given raw deal. They are in this government, and they are majority. If you look at the treasury, the central bank, who is the CS, who is the governor. So we must use other excuses, but not about being part of the government. That is not the reality. I think the deputy president started on a very slippery note. He was very combative. He had very little regard for the former regime and those who have been in leadership for a long time. I am a first-time MP. There are many things that we have to learn. You know, we are ranked first time, second, third. You must be able to be a good student. You must learn. So he came a very combative person, a very reckless talker, and he hit the wall. And that is why my friend was saying now, he has repented. Repenting from where? Repenting from political mistakes or spiritual matters? It is neither here nor there. We cannot bring spiritual matters of repentance.
Mike, be fair. You've gone round. Let me respond. And last time I told
let him finish his point.
You know, I'm one against many. So what we are saying is that he must take his position as a deputy. I have just read that he has missed two flights. The choppers, he could not go to Bungoma.
Actually, that is the first story carried on there.
Yeah, I have just seen. That means that he literally has no control of the powers that it be, or it were. So, the rift could be widening, and this is just a tip of the iceberg. of those who are in politics the way I am, I know this is just a tip of the iceberg. We are in for more scenarios.
So palipo na moshi pana moto.
Hiyo.
Before I come to respond, then nienda kwake tumalizie hii maneno kuvuja hii story.
Mosh has spoken, you know, as a first time. Sasa sisi, we are incoming politicians. And when you look at Rigiji, he has the power and the capacity. This is not a vice president. This is a deputy. And changing village president, but this one is a deputy elect. We came as a ticket, so he has the powers. Now, when he says he cannot, you call it what? Interfere. That interference. He when he went there, and I like what he has said. He's learning. He's a student. Deputy Rigathi Gachagua is also a student. He's the second time deputy president. He's learning from the current president, who was the first time deputy president. If there were issues, meddling affairs in Central, the DP would come and sort them out. So why is the problem when he goes to sort out these issues, turbulence? He knows what he's doing. And number three, we need to recognize that as Honorable Gakuya, Bosi, my boss, Bazenga says, he told the president, please, Mr. President, calm the temperatures down. You know why? Because the president has been there. He understands. And let's not forget, 1987, when President Moi shifted Vice President of Nyeri, removed him, brought Akiambu, vice president, into the picture. When we hear of political innuendos in the corridors of power from his trip in the States, now you want to change and remove Rigiji and exchange with Akiambu.
Why don't you
MP.
tell us
so
that?
What we are saying is we are very careful.
He needs to remind us the vice president became the president later.
Now, what we want to say is we are not ignorant. We are students of history. And the DP understands this. And this is why when he says about Rigiji repenting, I finish on this note. He understands. He came in as a bitter man. He was provoked, and people deal with it differently. Boil water here, an egg will harden, spaghetti will soften. But when people realize that they have now realized their mistakes, the egg break it, it is as soft as a spaghetti. So that is where the DP is coming in. He's actually saying, on behalf of Central Kenya, we need to apologize to who? The president. And he said, we were deceived by who? I don't know. But he knows. He's repenting. And he's saying, I'm sorry, we never again shall we bring disunity in Mount Kenya. So for that reason and for that cause, I, Justin Njau, aka Fadela, I propose for Rigiji prayer rallies of repentance. Hata kama siombagi sana, tutamuombea apone na Central ipone.
Mike, this is very serious. At least you have a segment in your show.
Yes.
To discuss the tiff and rift between Rigiji and the head of state.
Yes.
If there is, we are only analyzing, you know. And if it is there, then to what extent? That is really what the show is all about. Why is it so much about Mount Kenya? I mean, I'm not really against that kind of direction, but why are we so much, you know, soaked in Mount Kenya and nothing else? I have problems in Nyamira where a farmer cannot take her bananas to Ikonge or to Kisumu. We have people in Ahero where water has been flooding. They cannot do their rice correctly and properly. They cannot have a proper market. We have people in Migori having several problems, and we have several people in Taita Taveta also where there is a water problem, I mean, because of these floods. So why is it that we are only engulfed in what is in Mount Kenya? You see, as you say, I mean, since it was just a segment, I don't have a problem. But we seem to create the impression that the political tensions are only, you know, limited to Mount Kenya, and that's a very big problem because that kind of psyche is actually misleading our people. We have issues in the rest of the country we want to look at. And that's why when the head of state said, let members of parliament go, so I expect Honorable Borrero to visit wherever he wants to visit and come and say, I have seen the people of so-and-so in such and such area are very good. So, irrespective of how the deputy president is feeling as a human being, that will be entirely his issue. And he can handle it, actually. He can handle it. I don't know why you want to handshake me. I will shake your hand shortly after this. But the issue is, and the way Oscar Sudi is feeling, or the way, you know, these people can have their own emotional adjustments, and intelligence or none of it. But the issue is not about Mount Kenya Tafadhali. This is about the country. We want water, we want roads, we want good agriculture, we want to start manufacturing, as the UDA manifesto says. We want to see that there are roads, we want to see good infrastructure, and there is water problem is resolved, Medicare, and all these kind of things. Now the issue is, and this is the truth, when the gentleman Njau says that in politics, you've got to be super smart. And of course, central people have seen already, they are not fools, so they have seen that anywhere here, we are headed in the direction we do not want to go. Why? Because for them, they have built an economy as a people of central Kenya. And the moment it goes down, it's like in the stocks. When you see a certain stock goes down, the shareholders are quick to call in and ask that in coffee, in tea, in milk, all these things, they are not growing as they should. But I have not seen a smarter person in the country than the head of state, because the head of state warned you also, and he was in Bomet. You can go back in YouTube, and he told you that please vote for me. This other issue you're talking about, Mount Kenya, I will handle for you. And he has handled it. He has told you, you cannot just come here and try to, you seek more than nine seats. You said they have 9 CSS and whatever. So he is handling it. And by the way, I think that the president does things intentionally. I don't think he does things because they have been pushed to his table. So he will handle the deputy president, that is for sure. He needs support to handle, but not only the deputy president, he needs support to handle Rift Valley, Nyanza, Coast, and all these places. Until 2027, when you can come here and say, we want to support Rigathi Gachagua, or we want to support Ndindi Nyoro, or we want to support, who knows, Musalia Mudavadi.
Let's close that matter at that. Now, ukona kitu unataka kusema.
I just want to congratulate him. You know, he was not there when we began. And I told you, hii gazeti mmeleta shida mingi, haikuwa. So he's very right. Let's not focus.
I'm not politician.
I want to also correct. I want to correct something that he said, that in Nyeri alone they got over 300,000 votes. 272. That if it was not there, the presidency would not have gone to William. When you go to Bungoma, also, Wetangula will say, if it was not for Ford Kenya, where Bungoma gave over 300 votes, then they would not be president.
I think
so
if you need to look at the text and the context. So I was saying 47% of Central, but within Central, Nyeri alone is 272,000. So Bungoma, when you look at and he said it, shareholders, we are looking at 47%, but alone by Rigiji, becoming DP, was 272. So if you remove that, out of 233 which he won, the president won, you're looking at him being a superior factor.
I think there's one thing I want to say, which of course, you know what's happening, the perceived rift between His Excellency and the deputy, is something also that we witnessed during His Excellency the President, when he was the deputy, and Kenyatta. We used to hear a lot of talks from people like Tuju, people like who, and that thing came to, the dream came true, that those sea marines were actually the true position, which was actually happening. I think as at now, Mike, His Excellency the President, since they are sharing the presidency with the deputy president, and for the sake of the unity of this nation, he has to protect his deputy. Thank you. That is the bottom line.
Yes. Let's go to something else. And that is a story that is told on page 4 of the Daily Nation. Nairobi UDA camps fight for supremacy in grassroots polls.
I hope I'm the one starting.
Actually, I was coming to you because I'm very passionate about UDA grassroots. What's your take on Saturday's grassroots polls?
Number one, Honorable James Gakuya, a.k.a. Bazenga, the incoming UDA Nairobi boss, won out of 17 constituencies, he got 12. Sakaja got 5. I'm reminded when I went to church and my bishop preached about a story about a mosquito mother who let the young mosquito go out, but in the evening delayed coming back home. And when the young mosquito came, was told, what happened? You took time. And she said, no, everywhere I went, people were clapping for me. They were clapping for me. Perception was, she thought, the mosquito thought people were clapping, but they wanted to kill. I think what Sakaja needs to realize, the claps he has been getting are death claps, because the reality on ground is Honorable Gakuya is now coming in, and now we are going to phase 4 when we finish this. So this that was happening, this hula baloo that was being created, is just the kicks of a dying horse. Just
So
that's why I want to tell the people.
There are faction wars between members of the UDA.
Where you know when
Nairobi,
you say
in Nairobi.
let's not confuse. That's why I said again, terminologies. It was election. There is a winner, there is a loser. So they are not tensional factions. It's just kuna mshindi na ule ameshindwa.
But also, there are some quarters that claimed the process was not 100% fair.
How? Unajua media to come pole pole. It was very fair, very clean. In fact, where they repeated was Starehe. And that was done on Saturday. Why? Because goons were hired to disrupt. But Kenyans are very woke. Nairobians, for this matter. Nairobians are very woke. They woke up and they said, we know our leader is James Gakuya. And because he has been there, this guy understands the terrain, and he now was the one. Sakaja tried to bring the goons, but guys said, no, listen, take these guys off. We know who we want. So there wasn't any war. Ni kelele tu chura kini imeisha hii. Inaitwa kufinish kumalo.
Finish kumalo.
This
is the latest balance, street balance. MP, Peter Orero, ningetaka kujua the outcome of these grassroots elections, how they influence the politics of 2027 within Nairobi County.
One, I would not, you know, as I'm a member of ODM.
I know.
So first, I would not want to get into the intricacies and the process of the election that is going on. I wish my brothers well. Gakuya is my colleague. Sakaja is also my governor in Nairobi. As we are waiting for the final verdict, and we'll see. But, you know, this is a party at a very rudimental stage. This is their first election, and they are also learning from others, especially from parties which have been in existence for a long time, like ODM. Normally, party election brings about the structure and brings the party line in shape. And I think the winners of this party election, because after this they will not have any other election again until 2027, we would wish to see whether they are not going to have a fallout, especially when it reaches at the national level. And even in Nairobi, you want to see how it is going to impact on the future election. You know, in Nairobi, Azimio almost swept the whole of Nairobi, apart from my friend Gakuya and 2 others. It means he's also strong on the ground. So he was not swept by the winds. But I don't think it is going to affect the other constituencies which are in Nairobi. You know, the most informed county in terms of political matters is Nairobi. Nairobi, where we have people who are experiencing first-hand political impact, because the GDP of this country is basically controlled by the revenue collection within this region, within Nairobi. The leadership of Nairobi shapes both the economy and the political class in this country. And I think the elections of UDA, and now that they have started, they need to be very, very careful, because normally the party organs determine who becomes an MP in their party. But you see, as it is not going to affect us as ODM or as the Azimio in that matter, because Nairobi has always been an opposition zone, and it does not matter which party, which elections is being carried out. The dominance party in Nairobi is ODM, and also the umbrella Azimio, of course, not just for now, but we have history in the past. We have been there for a long time. The history now will determine the future. We need the history to predict the future. And we are predicting. We only have 3 years to go. There's going to be very little change in terms of representation within the Nairobi County, despite this hullabaloo of the UD elections. And in fact, like in my constituency, it was like there was no election because very little happened. There is a ward in my constituency where the chair got 9 votes and he won. Against 2. So those are the kind of elections we are talking about here. So in terms of representation, I don't think we are going to have any change. But I am happy that they are experiencing what other stable political parties within East Central Africa have been experiencing for a long time. We wish them well. Let them join us.
All right. We'll take a short break, but we'll come back and continue with this conversation. On Politics, we're looking at the political landscape within the country, but we continue with the conversation right after this break.